Hi, and welcome to Yeshiva Shem Be'ever. I'm Rabbi David Katz, and we are here for Parashas Tetzaveh. The name of the article is The Third Temple and the Urim and Tumim, Traditions of the Ger. Questions, comments, or feedback, I can always be reached at Rabbi Katz at virtualyeshiva.com. And here we go. We are into our interesting cycle. Everybody that's been following along knows we ended with Jethro because the yeshiva opened for Parashas Mishpatim over a year ago. With that said, we are into the new cycle. Notice the class time change. We're going to be doing, I know it's been a balagan, bear with me, the new cycle's been interesting to formulate. The Psalms in depth will be B'ezrat Hashem Sunday nights at 11 p.m. And the Parsha class will become not the central piece of the program, since we've done the Parsha over 2 times now. And that's going to be the Wednesday night 11 p.m. class. So note that. I think the video recordings are going to remain on the Parsha, however, until I get comfortable with Tehillim, the new style. It's a brand new series, never done it before, so we're going to get comfortable with that. Alright. The order of events, as always, into the Haftorah. Finding the continuity into the Parsha through the Zohar and into our article. As always, the focus is, or at least it started with Noahide, then it went through the Ger. I would say now it's Ger, Universal Torah, humanity. It's not a predominantly Jewish story, let's call it that. Finding the Ger, finding humanity, finding the world message in the Parsha. And it comes out as a Jew-Ger theme, but never the way one would assume. And if there's ever an example of that, this Parsha is an example of that. Okay, so with that said, here we go. The Haftorah. This Haftorah is unique. It's pretty unique. Generally, the way it works out, I go through the article and find the thread. I learn the Zohar Parsha on Shabbos, and you find, really supporting the thread and opening it up on a much deeper level. And you find, in the Haftorah, where it makes sense, where it adds up, as a support at best. Not in this Parsha. This Parsha we get into Ezekiel and the building dimensions of the temple, which is pretty obvious, since in Tetzaveh we're getting into the laws of, or the vestments of the Kohen. And Ezekiel, I would say 90% of the controversy with Ezekiel is on this point. The controversy in what's called, I guess, whatever, maybe it's the infamous sash. If you get into the commentary, the Radak, there's a question. The details are a little bit complicated. Is it a linen sash, I think the question was, or is it another fabric? And they say if it's one fabric, that makes sense for a Kohen Gadol. And if it's one other fabric, it makes sense for a regular Kohen. And the whole discussion revolves around that. And you end up with a really big revelation either way. And that's like the template of Ezekiel. You're always getting a massive revelation. The Kohen Levi. The concept, the Kohanim will be like Levium, and the Levium like Kohanim, says the Arizal, in learning out Ezekiel. And this is like the whole book. You have the Merkava, Kabbalah, that's Ezekiel. And it's already strange to say that I would do the whole article on that. But we did. And the answer is because of Ezekiel 43, 10 through 11, the opening statements brought in the Haftorah. It talks about the building of the temple. And I end up quoting in the article, so we will get there. But he quotes the building. If you do it, you learn it, you do it, you get into the designs, then you will do it, and people will do tshuva, and that's how you begin to build the temple. It seems rather benign. I'm aware of that. But Rashi's commentary on this is utterly fantastic. And we're going to bring that too. Couple that with another really big enigmatic garment of the Kohen in the Parsha. I mean, there's a lot of things said, but not many really resonate on the Urim Tumim. I mean, I'm sure you guys have heard of the Urim Tumim. What is it? The commentators say it's names of God on a parchment in the breastplate. It's very lacking. I feel, or not so fulfilling what people say. It sounds very mystical, but tangible. Is there really something? It is. So we find that Ezekiel really goes well with the Urim and Tumim. You put two kind of strange pieces together, and that's what this class and article is about. And I like it. So let's go. As I said, Ezekiel 43, 10 through 11, building the temple and the designs and know them, and it should come from your mouth, blah, 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 and you should know it. And he repeats it a million times. It's a long pasuk, a long verse. And in the end, so that you should do it or make it, however you want to translate the Hebrew. And then Rashi says, I don't know if I can quote it, I wrote it down. Quoting ability is not always the best. You should learn or teach the matters of the measurements from your mouth, that this, I just said, that this is the expertise. How's it go? The expertise to make them, as in the law's dimensions, so that it should be the time of the end. Meaning, if you want the time of the end, then teach the dimensions, and what comes out of your mouth is your expertise. And you will find that by mazal, dictation, by the hand of God, you will be delivered to the end of days. La'et haketz, says Rashi. Now, I know that's a bit vague, abstract, and the whole article will go over this. This is the article, so hold on. Just to point out other things in Ezekiel that I mentioned in the intro, that I generally don't cover the matters that are not particularly in the Haftorah. But as we mentioned, the sash, which has implications of the Kohanim, do we treat in the Messianic days the Kohen Gadol like some kind of a new Kohen Gadol, a higher level, or does the regular Kohen, does he become bumped up like a Kohen Gadol, high priest? And there's a lot of ideas that the world is Israel, Israel is Jerusalem, Jerusalem is the Holy of Holies, the Holy of Holies is the Ark is the Kruvim is the Shekhinah, and so forth and so on. There's a lot of these kinds of ideas, and personally my opinion is it's a bit of apologetics because the world doesn't recognize the ger. So it's like, how do we say the world is special and holy, but really we think they're not, so we're going to tell them that they are. So we have, it's a bit contrived. Bring in the ger, you're already 95, maybe even 100% there. Right? The ger is the fourth vav to Israel. So you're already out of apologetics, already. At that point, the nature of the Kohen, Levi, Levium will be Kohanim, Kohanim will be Levium, says Ezekiel, is learned out from Ezekiel's prophecy by the Arizal. No longer do you have to put yourself in an arena that you don't belong in. That's kind of contrived. Thus, the Arizal explains what it means is that right will be invested in left, and left will be invested in right, meaning the Jew really is a ger, as David says, I'm a ger. The ger really has that Israel in him, the wisdom and understanding and wisdom. Kabbalah 101. The rectification of the world is Abel will realize his root of Cain, Cain will realize his root in Abel. This has ramifications on the priesthood, the Levium, the types of women they can marry, or always should have married, whatever it is, it changes nothing. What it does is it brings out the true nature of the Torah. For example, what does it mean and what happened in time when the high priest is to marry what is called in Hebrew a basula? Now, some will say it's a woman that was never with a man. Some will say it's a maiden. Point being, look at the history. Who did Pinchas marry? Pinchas was given the high priesthood, a daughter of Joshua and Rachav. Who did Eleazar marry? Aaron marry. So a lot of these I would call them Ger words, which we're going to go ahead and call them the Ger code, will become pronounced. Yet things do change. For example, in Dvarim it says you'll have a king anointed from your people, but from all of your brother. Does that mean converts, or to the exclusion of converts? What about a ger? So in the past, let's say there was breathing room. In the future, that will become more pronounced what the definition of that means. If the kingdom changes, the priesthood changes. The law never changed. It's where you take the leniency. If from one word I can hear two, maybe in the future we'll settle on one. Maybe we won't. That's what it means to have two as one. Or as the Vilna Gaon says, in quoting King Solomon, from the kisses of the mouth in Song of Songs, at Sinai, Mepia Gevora, God spoke two, or from the mouth of God who spoke one, we heard two. I am Hashem your God, you should have no other gods. I mean, you're talking about understanding the Torah on the most profound level possible. That's what it means to rectify Cain and Abel. That is the rectification of the priesthood and the Levium, which, ironically, is predicated on the sash garment of the priest. Something that subtle opens up a massive chamber. And I remember as a kid, I went to the Windsor mansion in, San Jose, California. She was a bit odd. She was the wife of the Winchester rifle. And she felt she was possessed by demons. And you go in the house, it's a Torah site, and you open a cabinet in the wall, a regular cabinet, and it opens up to a wing of like 100 more rooms. And if you didn't open that cabinet, it's impossible to get into that wing. So it's, that's how Torah is. It's, a sash of a Kohen. Next thing you know, you're talking Messianic Torah. Very strange. Okay, that's Ezekiel. That's why Ezekiel's controversial. That's why it was sought to be in Geniza, hidden away at one point. Do people understand Ezekiel? I would say a lot, if not entirely, Kabbalah tradition really comes to hash out Ezekiel. When you get through the Arizal's Torah, it's largely dealing with the rectification of Cain and Abel. That's already going to the repair of Adam, which the repair of Adam is the Gematria Torah. Very interesting. Now, just go a little bit lateral. This is a bit off topic, but it's okay. In the Zohar, it was a smaller, considerably smaller Parsha. For Truma, we had 300 pages. That was a bit tedious. This was something much shorter. And I feel a little bit guilty, not too much, but when I've said this in all of my shirim, whenever there is a soul mazel moment, I take it. Because I think it's very important. I will always say that. I know everybody, maybe has their opinion of what soul mazel is, i.e. name analysis, the mazal of names. The fact is, the reason why I'm bringing it up, it is a Zohar thing. Very common in the Zohar. That's where the Vilna Gaon got it, which is what Kol HaTorah is, the Shulchan Aruch law body of redemption is about. Learning fluently in Pardes, the simple meaning, the hint, the allegorical, and the secret. Dealing with the divinity in text. We all know that names are prophetic. So the most ripe product that we're most familiar with and in the closest proximity to is our names. Your name is absolutely ripe and ready for interpretation. Now, this is very much according to our article. When the high priest goes to question the breastplate, or is it his breastplate, but when they go before the breastplate to find out what to do, and the letters of the tribes are written in stone, they have to know how to interpret the breastplate. For example, to use the breastplate itself as the fractal code, which it is a fractal. Let's say, Hashem, what are we going to do? I'm standing here at the breastplate. What do? We got enemies coming in. And Hashem lights up Chet, Shin, Nun. And you say, I know, it's a Choshin, it's a breastplate. No? What are we supposed to do? And it says Chet, Shin, Nun. You say, I know, we're asking the breastplate. But with a bit of inspiration and allowing it to come to you, rearrange Chet, Shin, Nun, it spells Nachash, snake. So let's say the enemy coming in is an embodiment of Yetzer Hara, evil inclination. That's the fluid nature we're after here. I just finished the Arizal Sefer Gilgulim, which is different from Shar Gilgulim. It says the end of everything is the word Rachamim. Because it might mean Rechem, the root for mercy. At the same time, it might be the word for spear. So all the time in Hebrew, this is the divinity of Hebrew. And again, from the mouth of God, we heard too. The whole Torah is predicated on this. Learning is this way. Communication is this way. Dream analysis is this way. This really is your divine code. This is the language of God. This is why you go to Torah to learn the code, to know what Hashem is doing, what He means. And the Vilna Gaon states very clearly, names are the embodiment of that code. Right? So you're running your grocery store and you're contemplating what's going on in your life. All of a sudden, Jeremiah comes to your cash register. You say, hi, Jeremiah, how you doing? You say, wow, that's great. Why would God send me Jeremiah to buy my milk? So you say, what does the Zohar say about Jeremiah? So the name Jeremiah, and this is why I'm bringing it up. The Zohar goes into the soul mazel of two prophets. You've heard of them. Isaiah and Jeremiah. Jeremiah's name read, according to the Zohar, Urim, in the name of God, Yud Kei Vav. God will send out the light to above. And what did Jeremiah come to do? Prophesy the destruction of the temple. So his name code, what he was sent to this world to do, is prophecy. You guys better do tshuva because the light is going out really quick. That example is everything in our world. Everything is a mazal message from God. And the most mazal that you, are the closest to and most accessible to and probably the most knowledgeable of is your own name. It's just one of those things. The other name in the Zohar was Isaiah, right? Yud Shin Ayin, in the name of God, Yud Kei Vav. God will save, or God will turn to. Meaning, God will bring the redemption, and God will bring back the light into the world through the Beis HaMikdash. Why does the Zohar go into basically Jeremiah, Isaiah? Other than aside from the fact that they are the precursor to Ezekiel's prophecy. Ezekiel is the prophecy of the third temple, and there you have your template. Jeremiah, the light going out. Isaiah, the temple coming in. Bring in the headliner. Ezekiel, the temple comes, and Torah is revealed in the highest level. Names really matter. We know that the Torah is one big name of God. The opening words of the Baal Shem Tov and his commentary on the Torah take the entire Torah as one strand, as one name of God. The Messianic Torah will be to understand all the different letter combinations as they appear, which is really the essence of Pardes, the essence of Kol Torah, the essence of Torah. As we're going to say, it's the essence of the Mishkan, it's the essence of the building of the Mishkan, it's the essence of talking about the Mishkan. And that dialogue exists between the Jew and the Ger. All right, that's the introduction. Ready to go? Into the article. Last week we mentioned, because of the Parashas Truma, what the Mishkan represented. Represents to particularly Solomon that obviously King David was interested in building the temple. He wanted to build it. God told him, no, your son will build it. Solomon takes the stage and he does commence to build it. The famous expression, you'll hear me say it a million times, Kol Torah, right? Kol Torah, Kol Torah. It's a verse in Song of Songs. Kol Torah is really undefinable. Vilna Gaon calls his book called Kol Torah the Shulchan Aruch Law Authority of the Redemption. Let's just say it is the essence of inspiration journaled by man that documents the inspiration that will exist in the time of Messiah. So it's a very dense book, one that is, you're never done with it. It's not meant to be hashed out or finished. He brings code. He brings the Messiah code. For example, the number 741, Mashiach ben Ephraim, comes up all over Tanakh and Chazal. So if you have a famous 741, the Vilna Gaon brings it. There you go. Here's a 741. For example, Mashiach ben David and Abash is 741. Then you have, let's say, 566, Mashiach ben Yosef. Same gematria as Tikkun. So this is one of the most classic examples of code, Kol Torah. Kol Torah, that is the code of the Torah, the mochin or intellect, that Solomon reaches the messianic level by meditating on the Mishkan, the tabernacle. So we have it in the Torah. Everyone says, why is the Mishkan in the Torah if we've already built it, and why do we need a temple? The answer is, it just keeps getting better. That's the definition of divinity. The third temple is the temple, like Jacob, the choice's forefather. Once it's built, it's just going to be strength to strength to strength. Thus, by meditating on the Mishkan, Solomon reaches that level, builds the first temple, and it is, until the third temple is built and the Messiah comes, that is the benchmark of greatness that the world has ever seen. Again, the comparison of the first temple to the third temple. The second temple is the Yerida, the going down, that it's only going to get better from there. Again, that's the divine pattern. It always just keeps getting better. Just a bit of background for you on the third temple, since that's Ezekiel 101. The temple has probably more names than I'm aware of. Again, here we go. Names. I guess that's where we are. This Parsha in the Haftorah in the Zohar is all about names. Why? The temple's called Menucha, rest, but really, really resting. Shabbos is called Menucha, which makes sense that the Messianic age is the Great Shabbos. It's called the house of prayer, Beit Tefillah. It's also called Shama, meaning there. Very interesting. Shama is the same letters Moshe, Moses, and the same letters Hashem, spelled out, Hey Shin Mem. I want to share a personal account, whatever. This is my opinion. I think it's true, but it's just my opinion. The temple is also called Sukkos David Nofelis. The Sukkah, as we know Sukkah to be, of David, that which has fallen. And again, King David as the Messiah, as Ezekiel, again, this is pretty amazing. It's another Ezekiel thing. I will raise for you another David, says Ezekiel. So you see, we're very much there. The mazzel's flowing pretty good. David's called Bar Nafali, the perpetual fallen one. I went to the Temple Mount recently. You can see the picture on the Temple Institute's Facebook page. It was an interesting picture that got taken. And, you know, you're up there and you want to have a spiritual moment and you want to have a powerful moment. I saw a lot of different takes on that from everybody that was up there. What got me, you know, if you can't pray because they'll arrest you, and, you know, you really can't have sason, outward, you know, not sason, joy, but just outward, you know, awe of, you know, I'm standing in the temple grounds. I mean, for me, I would say it's a sason of joy in that you're really here, you made it. As the end of Parashas Jethro says, when you get to the Temple Mount, the place where I have chosen to call my name, I will come to you and bless you. And that forever, by the time of Solomon, refers to the Temple Mount. Okay, so I'm up there. What got me was the nostalgia. You know how when, I don't know, you know, let's take a football venue, right? They're going to tear down a stadium, you know, Yankee Stadium, and tomorrow's the ball's coming down to knock it down, and they've already built the new stadium across the street, right? Opening day, they're going to have you in the new stadium, and let's say, you know, an old timer's walking in the stadium, a guy who's 90 years old. So if he's 90, he's been around since towards the beginning of the 20th century. And, you know, it's leaking, it's dirty, it's dark, broken down, run down. You look out in the field and it's an overgrown weeds, you know, no manicure to the field. And he says to himself, can you believe that 90 feet away from me, Babe Ruth stood there and hit a home run? Where's Babe Ruth now? Where's Lou Gehrig now? You know, where's genuine baseball now? Now we have A-Rod and the steroids, and it's just not the same. Not at all. I mean, you can really compare the classic Yankees to these guys. Imagine visualizing the popcorn vendor, Cracker Jacks for like a penny. A glass of beer where it's a glass of beer. You know, real classic American, what do you call it, the great pastime in America, is not what it is now. That would be a bit depressing. You know, you can hear the joy, you can hear the cameras going, you know, the movies, the big flash bulbs. Gone. That's how I felt up there. You know, the Kohanim were there. And don't think about, oh, they were sacrificing cows. Yeah, they were. But they were also being human and experiencing life. And people would come from all over the world. You know, hey, I haven't seen you in 20 years. How you been? You catch up, you talk about God. The mazel was off the charts in the temple. And now you get arrested for davening. You get intimidated by the people that control the Temple Mount. And you can hear the echoes of the joys of life that used to be there. As if God is saying, not cool. This used to be it. This used to be the venue. Why is it called Sukkot David Nofelis? Because Sukkot was the greatest joy ever, says the Talmud. Simchas Beis Shveva. And now it's a overgrown, run-down nothing. The good news is it will be erected again. So it's not so depressing that it's over, because that's no longer depressing. You move on. You can't move on from this. You're forced to confront that Jeremiah prophecy. The light will go out. But just like Rabbi Akiva saw the fox run out of the Holy of Holies, and he laughed and said, that I know the temple will be rebuilt. The Isaiah name read will come, the temple will come down, Ezekiel lives. That's my opinion. We mentioned the Ger code. The Ger code being when it says Bnei Yisrael in the Torah, obviously Jewish people. When it says the people, Ha'am, Amcha. Notice the break in the verse. I challenge you to go through the Torah, look for the Ger in the emphasis, and look for the Jew. This, to me, is the secret of the Vav Ketiyah, the broken Vav of Pinchas. Look for the break. The Torah is not this one long run-on sentence that we want it to be. That's your soul saying, I know this is one name of God. That's true, but we're not there yet. First, understand the Shakavatari, the break. Go tell the children of Israel and the people that. And if you make it one long sentence, it doesn't make sense. You just kind of babble. And then the people, then the children of Israel, then the people, then the children of Israel, then you got mad, the people, the children of Israel. What? Break it up. And you will see it's a very, very defined code. When Moses or God is talking to the Jews, it's Bnei Yisrael. When he's talking to the Gerim, it's the people. Now, what is it an absolute code? I don't know. I didn't write the Torah. Does it work most of the time? Like all the Ger stuff we do? For example, every Ger in the Chumash, and I have looked this up, at least 90% of the time, it's referring to both. Right? Now, are there sometimes it's only a convert? Yes. Are there sometimes it's only a Ger, non-Jew? Yes. But we do have patterns in Torah that highly repeat or express a point. This is one of them. So the Ger code is the idea of the breastplate. Right? The idea of looking at the word and finding the symmetry, the patterns that ultimately go into the Mishkan, which is the temple. There is a Ger code to Torah. Right? The Ger Tzedek woman. How do you know a Ger Tzedek woman? Just random? You just guess? Every time. You'll say, wow, she was a righteous woman like Tamar and Ruth. Done. Ger Tzedek woman, write it up. Every time. She was like, she was righteous like this. There's a code. The Torah uses the same words, just like in a tractate of Talmud. How do you know if you're learning Yevamos? Because you'll get the same words over and over and over again. The problem is it's a huge, huge vernacular and vocabulary to cover the entire Torah. So you break it down into tractates. And there is an unwritten, yet kind of written, Ger code. All through Rashi, the Rishonim, the Talmud, you get the consistency of the Ger if you know to look for him. And for a long time, nobody looked for him. Why would you? It was exile. Religion was peaked out. The relations were not good. Now here we are congregating towards the end of days, and a bunch of Noahides are popping up, and they're all asking the same questions. And mazel in words, even in English, they keep saying the same things. What does it mean, the people, Rabbi? Why does it make a difference, Rabbi? Why is it always compared to Tamar and Ruth, Rabbi? And you hear enough of it, you say, there's something here. There is a real pattern here. Thank God. The Chiddush is this is not an academic exercise. This is life as you know it. This is the Jews and the Ger all through time, every book of the Torah. You find me one righteous person or star player in Tanakh that had nothing to do with Gerim. Take your biggest Jew and say, okay, find the ger. 10 times out of 10 you'll find it. David says, I'm a ger. Solomon builds a temple of Gerim. Right? Moses brings out the Gerim. It's over and over and over again. And then you'll find out that your life is also that. I mean, me personally, I grew up in suburbia, Dayton, Ohio. The Jewish kid amongst all non-Jews. And you say, I had a very interesting childhood. As, this dynamic. And when you get to the learning of the Torah, and you know what a ger is and a Jew is, you look back and you say, I was robbed of my childhood. God sent every friend of mine is a ger. I mean, it's uncanny. Everywhere, looking back, everywhere I turned, it was a ger. Do they know it? Maybe, maybe not. But when you see the characteristic of what is Erev Rav, what is Nachri, what is a ger, you see, you were living back then the system of Torah because it never changes. The Torah keeps going. And ultimately that is the experiences in life of the tree of life that will build the temple. The ger code in the temple. Look at the words. In the English, it'll appear, take 4 feet by 7 feet, and you put a thing here, and you take the board, and you put the board there, you got the 7 feet tall, and very boring, very archaic, very carpenter-ish. When you get into the code itself, the words, you'll see it says for the width, rachva. Sounds a lot like rachav, as in Joshua's wife. The boards and the hooks, the shittim, where they camped out at the end of Bamidbar, where the Torah essentially ends. And you go through the building of the Mishkan, you'll see every single word from the mouth of God we heard too. Every word can be flipped. It's not like an inch is an inch is an inch. Every word goes with another word. And when you construct that Mishkan, that alternative Mishkan, you get a story. And the story you get is the eternal documentary of the ger and the Jew in the building itself as code. Now what are you going to do? Are you going to plaster a bunch of people on the walls and build up a people temple? It's called talk about it. When they talk about it, that's where the magic happens. It's, I'm embarrassed to say, as a wrestler, as a kid, I had no idea what wrestling was till now, at 35, as a fan. When I'm tired, I like to follow the sport. There's a famous movie that came out in the 80s called Vision Quest. And I've probably seen that movie a billion times. I never understood it like I do now. One of the guys in the movie says, in wrestling, it's not about the 6 minutes. It's what happens in those 6 minutes. I thought, wow, he's talking about mazel. It's not just a boring match where there's clash and bang heads and whatever happens, happens. Things happen. Michael Jordan doesn't accidentally fly from the free throw line in the middle of a game. Passion, desire, it doesn't just happen. It just happens. That's not a contradiction. The Arizal says on Passover, don't read Pesach. Read Pesach. And again, there's another one of the name analysis interpretations. The mouth speaks on Passover. He says, and I've tried this with Chaim, and it worked. This really works. On Passover night at the Seder, talk. Right? You have to. It's a mitzvah to talk about the redemption. Talk. And what comes out of your mouth every time will be your soul telling the Exodus as if you were there. You will give over the Exodus in that code. Don't talk about, we took the kids to school yesterday and watched a movie. If you flip it, according to the code, you'll find that your words are divine. There's, for the mouth of God we heard too. With a little bit of investigation, you are telling the Exodus. When you discuss the temple building, that's what happens. The floor plan comes out as you talk about Rachav and this, and just talk about the code. Flip it. Talk about Shittim, how it becomes the plains of Moab from the planks of the Mishkan. Jews and Gerim cooperating on this point. And what does Rashi say? Through your mouth in discussing the dimensions, that is your expertise. You want to find your floor plan? It's right in your heart, dying to come out. But you have nothing to talk about. King David says, talking about the temple builds it. Why has nobody built it yet? Because it's not fun to talk about. Well, you take 3 feet by 4 feet, hammer, nail, and you've got to find a guy to build it. Who does that? It's not fun. We got to get a contractor over here with a tow truck and no, it's not happening. What does King David say? Make it fun. Bring it to life. The word in Hebrew is aliza. Right? It has to be passion in the building. The yeshivish way is a tradition of getting into the Torah. Then Torah becomes metaphysical, divine, supernatural when Jews and Gerim get together. It's the ultimate learning partnership. The ultimate partnership is when the Jew and the Ger get together. And the Gerim are no longer just these non-Jews. It's the Chasidei Omos Olam. Listen to that word, Chasidei. The Hasidic non-Jews, literally. And that's what they are. Because there's nothing getting them going more than finding Rachav, Joshua's wife, in the temple. And look, listen to the perversion of that. Like you'll hear the second temple, they had women in the temple. That's the idolatry of that. Just like, the angel Michael offers the righteous up in the world of Yetzirah. So what do the idolaters do? Let's kill people. No, you're taking it literally. It's allegorical. And the Gerim know that. Listen to any Bible critic take down a Christian in Bible criticism. Yes, they lose because they want Yeshka and everything. Fine. Yes, you're wrong and you're idolater. Fine. The sad part is when he loses the debate, and he will lose the debates. He's standing there alone, like the Star Trek Enterprise, when Worf tells Captain Picard, "Sir, we are defenseless." And they fire a quantum torpedo and blow up the ship. He's standing there saying, "I love God, I just want to learn this stuff, and it's amazing." And every time the debate winner says, "Okay, you're a goy, go convert, find God." How about recognizing this is a ger? And he learns the Torah by these ways of pardes, and the code is in him, and he's standing there telling you the code, and that's a very Hasidic thing, because he has the faith that the Torah is spiritual, and it goes thrown away every time. The partnership harnesses that power, and makes it fun, makes it profound, and it literally has the power to build the temple. And it's funny. I wrote the article a joke, and it is a joke. My good friend and partner in the book we're writing, Chaim Chlorofine, author of The Path of the Righteous Gentile. He made movies of the temple in the 80s and 90s. Back before YouTube and special effects, and back when it was a VHS tape. And I said to him on Shabbos one time, I said, I never saw the movie at the time. I said, I bet your movies are the kind that starts off that guy, when you sit down in the Torah Center, and then the music comes on, the temple. We are here to discuss the Temple Mount. Come with us on a journey to the temple. So it's just funny, you can see those videos in Spot all the time, in the Spot Visitor Center. And I thought, that's how that's the joke of the temple and Ezekiel's vision, and this kind of benign, generic view of the temple. But wait a second. People have been trying to bring Torah into technology, and in this latest generation, post-World War II, we're getting there. Movies and videos, TV, then you're getting into the new technology, the iPad, and all of a sudden the Maral of Prague talks about the world will go through changes. And when those changes are done, the Mashiach will be able to take center stage. There will be no more opposition from physicality, i.e. ever-changing technology. The world will stop. And that means when the world stops, it's defined. The name of God, Shakai, it's enough. And it looks like we're almost there. Our world of destiny is cameras and internet and cell phones. And that's where it just done, folks. Have a nice day. But that's where Mashiach starts. That's where you get to that technology. Then Mashiach comes in and says, guys, the Torah is technology. We haven't been on the level to understand Torah yet because that technology wasn't there. It's metaphysical and ancient, the ancient wisdom. You bring the building plans out of you. You're a partner with Mazal. And the best part of it is, the real building is when it's forbidden to build on Shabbos. Why? Shabbos is when you turn off the technology, your phone doesn't rattle in your pocket, and that's when you really empty your heart before God, and all the secrets of the Torah from the weekdays come out. And it has this relationship of Shabbos, weekday. The Torah is technology. And we're getting to a time period where we're going to use that technology. The Urim Tumim, fractal code. Again, ancient technology that really we didn't understand fractal till recently, I think. The Baal Turim commentary, author of the halachic work, the Torah, Baal Turim in the Bible commentary, who also, here you go, what does he do? He uses remez and gematrias and the name, it's what he does too. It's all in line here. He calls his work and the halacha the Torah. And it's the same language, Baal Turim, master of Torah in plural. Torah's a row. Right? The gems of the breastplate are rows. R-O-W-S. And he says in the opening words of his main work, why did I call this the Torah? The answer is he got it from the Choshen Mishpat. The breastplate of the Kohen Hagadol is called the Choshen Mishpat. And there's 4 areas of halacha, 4 main pillars. Choshen Mishpat, Yeridea, Orachayim, Even Ezra. And it's interesting, one of the 4 is the name of the work itself. That is the fractal. Right? Choshen Mishpat actually contains Choshen Mishpat. It's like Yud-Kei Vav-Kei has Yud-Kei Vav-Kei in every letter. Right? Every sphere has every sphere in it. So you see, the breastplate inspires fractal nature. And also code. Because the Choshen Mishpat, the breastplate of judgment, is for the Jews to get remembrance when Aaron or the high priest goes to get remembered. And then it says, place the Urim and Tumim in there also, and they will be remembered. What? Do you hear the break? The children of Israel get remembered, and place the Urim and Tumim so they will be remembered. Why do you assume it's the same reiteration, kind of babbling? Stop. Children of Israel remembered, and the Urim and Tumim, they will be remembered. Ger, Jew. That's how the Torah breaks up a lot. Not just in the Ger Jew, but everywhere. Look for just the change direction. It's dynamic. Like angels running and returning. And by the order of Tumim, dare we say it's code, the initial letters, I think it was et hatorim, Urim, ve'et hatumim. Initial letters spell the name of God, Aleph K, Vav K. So in the thing itself that is of names of God, there's an encoded name of God, fractal. That's the Choshim Mishpat. And the difference is, in the first temple they had it. Second temple, there's a breastplate, but no Urim v'Tumim. Urim v'Tumim comes from the language like lights and perfection. Tam, like Jacob was an Ish Tam, a wholesome man. Notice what was also missing from the second temple. Gerim. Proper Gerim. With the 10 lost tribes, they got exiled out. Urim and Tumim gone, Shechina gone, Gerim gone. And the partnership begins now not face to face, but back to back. Jews and Gerim will find each other in dark alleys over time. One is a priest and the other is a priest. One's a high priest, one's a priest. A non-Jew who learns Torah is like the Kohen Gadol. The Jews are a nation of priests. And the priests, they are the aspect of a Levite. As the Rambam ends his laws of Shemitah, every servant of God is called a Levi. Again, the secret Cain and Abel, brotherhood, the Cohen who's a Levi and the Levi who's a Cohen. And you want to not get literal? The sons of David, says the Tanakh itself, were Kohanim. Maybe you're a Cohen when you learn the Torah. Why do we want you to learn Torah? Because when the partnership happens, you don't have to know all the Hebrew and the isms of Judaism. And the Jew doesn't have to know the whole Ger world. Be Jewish. Go eat gefilte fish and herring. Right? Be not Jewish. Don't eat gefilte fish and herring. And when you come together as priests, you'll sit down in a partnership, get to know each other, do a little dance, do the hokey pokey, put your right hand in, or left hand in, left hand out, right? But what you'll find out is, man, this guy is a Chassid almost Olam here. He's talking things I never heard. And when the Jew begins to listen to this and say, am I hearing correct? Is there Torah coming out of here? It's in English. It doesn't sound right, pronunciation-wise. Well, they get over that hump and the mitzvah to give vitality to the ger, mitzvah chiyuso. And all of that's not what I was told, goes out the window. Do they have souls? Do they have... Yes, they do. Come on. But it's not even an academic thing. It's experiencing it. Witnessing the soul in the flesh. Man, you are a ger. Real in the flesh from the Torah. He's saying, you're a Jew. And you realize it's a match made in heaven. The partnership. The Urim and Tumim is alive. The breastplate is alive. The Sforno commentary says there was never supposed to be a Mishkan, a temple, right? Just like Melchizedek was the prophet and the revelation comes down and you're the chariot to God. Only by sin do we have an intermediary, the Mishkan. Not an intermediary between us and God, but the vessels to contain the revelation. Moses goes to the Mishkan to get told by God what to do. We were supposed to get it directly. But allegorically it lives. That's the Torah of Shem. Is the allegorical remnant that remains. The essence of Chassidus. The Baal Shem Tov. Notice the name, Baal Shem Tov. Coincidence? No. It's a fact. It's stated. And where does Chassidus come from? In the Torah, from the original Hasidic words in Parashas Noach. This is what it's about. The Torah of what Rabbi Nachman calls emunah. Real emunah. Where spirituality is manifest in front of us. It's not a coincidence that Rabbi Nachman is the biggest name in the last 200 years to mention Gerim openly. Torah 14, Likutei Moharan. About the Ger Tzedek non-Jew. This is what Chassidus is. It is not an accident these people are called the Hasidic of the nations. The way the partnership works is talk. Bring that Pesach out. Open the heart. Circumcise the heart. If you don't know what that is, the Ger will tell you all about the Tanakh that yeshiva people don't learn anymore. Why? They just don't. And the Gerim don't learn Talmud. They just don't. Put it together, a recipe of revelation. You'll ask each other things and you'll draw down the revelation. Both have a skill set. Both have a knowledge from half the world. Cain and Abel rectified. That is real spiritual technology. Allowing that Urim and Tumim, an embodiment of a Ger, and the Choshen Mishpat, an embodiment of a Jew, to come together and through the powers of names of God, bring down divine light. Jeremiah becomes Isaiah. And we live in Ezekiel's temple. And the world becomes filled with the revelation of the third temple. And it becomes contagious. When you find the Ger code in the Mishkan, the temple, as King David prophesies, the world will catch on fire. Also, Ezekiel tells this in our verse. They'll do tshuva, they'll say, man, I wasn't thinking that high. I wasn't even there. If this is what's going on, I'm in. It is contagious. Because it's real life. It makes life in you. It brings that Eliza, that joy, like the Sean Connery thing in Yeshiva's impression, is bringing life to life. The Temple Mount was life. It's not just fun and games, but just life. The joy of life. An example of the Torah of Amunah, as Rabbi Nachman explains it. Go to a field to pray, and the field actually influences the prayer. Don't believe it, and don't just do it. Know it. Manifest it. We put ourselves in intellectual positions and it influences us. Energy. Like the breaks in the verse. Making yourself the embodiment of that ark where God can talk to you. That's Torah of Shem. Making the vessels of spirituality manifest through the intervention of man. But that's what Mazal is. God using human agency to understand that God is with man. You might call that bitachon, trust in God. So how does God come to you? How is God with you? King David says God is always with us. Understand that you are a vessel with God. And that vessel can take on meaning as brought down in our parshiot. If you can fathom, maybe I'm just a guy, but this guy here is the Urim and Tumim. I ask him questions and he says things and I hear God coming out. Pesach. Lose your ego, lose the Yetzer, God will come out. He doesn't know it, but if you listen, just like the high priest with the breastplate, you'll hear it. And vice versa. It's called Shema B'Koli, listen in my voice, Rebecca said to Jacob. Through divine providence, we are able to experience Mazal. Divinity going on. Whether you know that the words you speak are from the mouth of God, I heard too, irrelevant. It's still happening. Enlightenment, so to speak, is when you are privy to witness the divine going on and you're just a part of it. The Zohar says that is the meaning of life. This world is an opportunity that just keeps getting better. You're in the hand of God, and this is your moment to understand God creating with you before you enter the world of God, Olam Haba. But at that time, it's just God, right? You're gonna be basking before God, and it's different. Now's your time to know God in creating mode. See the difference? Creating mode as opposed to, hi, I'm God. Whatever Olam Haba is. Knowledge of God, awareness of God, revelation of God, just angels, whatever it is. Now it's all hidden. And if you can know God here, what a bracha. What a merit and bracha. Okay, lahavdil, it's like saying, I knew you when. And vice versa, God will say, I knew you when. That's the betachon of the spirituality manifesting in physicality. To know God, the spiritual world in our physical world. And then we have the famous Rashi with Ezekiel. How does all of this happen? Teach the laws, the buildings, the measurements. But in teaching it, let yourself flip it. Bring out the code. Notice, why does the word look familiar to me? This doesn't look like a building word. This looks like a character of the Torah. Shittim, Rachav, whatever it is. Shemin, the oil. Let the heart speak the floor plan. Let the mouth reveal the secrets of the building plan. That is your expertise. Everybody in the world has a moment of the temple in them. It's not getting built until that contagious fire erupts all over the world. And it will. Once it reaches critical mass, look out. And what makes it go critical mass? When the Gerim go wild. And they're getting there. Every day. It's coming. Noah hides. Gerim. Can we keep Shabbos? Can we do this? And it will snap. And when it snaps, the good news is the real Torah comes out. The whole Sinai, Gertoshav, it's coming. That's not what I was told is on its last leg. It's not like it was being a conspiracy and held out. It wasn't the time. Solomon says, don't wait the time before its end. It's catastrophic. Rashi says, when you start talking about this, it's time. And in that time, you'll start to realize that spiritual technology. It just happens. When the two come together, they get technical. The Torah of Shem is that technical spirituality. The technological spirituality. To really understand the Torah is technology. Torah of Shem. How to embrace one another and grow in Torah. The Ger code, Torah of Shem. It's in the Torah of Moshe. Moses is a reincarnation of Shem. Moses puts the pilpul, the matter, understanding the matter, in the Torah. But we have the Mishnah. We have the temple. So the throwback, the allegorical, other levels of understanding, depth, is that prophetic school of Shem. Where Shem's school of Aver was known to be a school of prophecy, or how to understand the Torah through prophecy without necessarily being a prophet. Understanding life as a prophetic message from God. How to learn the Torah. The Torah never changes. It's the Torah of Moshe. But the perspective of it, how to work with it, the manual on the manual. For that reason is enough to love the Ger. That's enough of the reason to love the Ger. As if that's not enough. As we bring down the end of Parashas Jethro, God says, come to the Temple Mount. If you come for the right reason, if you get to the top of that mountain for the right reason, I will come and bless you. When you get through the maze, you get through it with a circumcised heart, which is an aroused heart. The Torah is in everybody. It's knowing yourself and having the experience of self to be comfortable to let that Torah flow. Get the Yetzer out. Right? The defeat of the angels is when you beat your evil inclination and then you even overpower the angels. Look at Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Moses, Aaron, Joseph, David. Everybody beat and conquered an angel. Avram fed the angels. Isaac was told to not be shechted by Abraham. The angels came out. Jacob wrestled. Moses cleared the way to have Hashem lead the nation. Aaron stopped the angel of death. Joseph merited, learned 70 languages. And David was a great man that stopped the destruction of Jerusalem. This is called Kruvim. The level of the angelic man, the greatness of man that overpowers the divine, as if to say, you are a great man. The whole temple is predicated on being a great man. The Jewish Ger revelation is the product of, through history, we have built towards a great time period. And the world looks bad now because the Yetzer is running wild. But there are good people out there. And God says, I love the Ger. We've gone to the end of time. People are going to wake up. That heart will be circumcised. And that which began with Noah. Noah conquered everybody, above and below. That's how the ark was able to be built. He saved the world. Don't forget that. And it culminates with the final revelation of Mashiach. It's all included in the Torah of Moses. And ironically, or not ironically, Mazal will have it. That same Torah begins with a Beit, ends with a Lamed, making the word Leiv, heart. The Torah that comes from the heart, the epitome of Chassidut, the Chassidio Musa Olam, coming together, the breastplate and the Urim and Tumim, and as 32 is the Gematria heart, the same as Kavod, as everything will only work when it's in the honor of God. Thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed the lesson. Have a great week.